Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Well, that week went fast. We're back to Monday again. Welcome everybody to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul on USA Global TV and Radio. And last week, and I'm feeling good now, because last week at this time we were having some technical issues where we had to jump through some hoops to make things work. But folks, remember, that's live TV. That's the way it works. Just a quick story I'll tell you about live TV real fast. I'll make this short. I used to be the Dell, they called it product expert on QVC. And I would sell the computers on Dell, and the hosts of QVC would ask me questions about what does this one do? What does that one do? How does this work? How many megabytes or blah, 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 the whole thing. And they had like a lot of TV shows on the news, they have an earpiece in. And there was one computer that was sitting there, and they said, Justin, I want you to bring up a picture of a baby, because it would spike calls because people would see a baby and they would think of their own baby or their own grandchild, and they would buy a computer. Well, I went to do that and nothing happened. The computer froze. So the computer completely froze. So they're yelling in my ear, do something with that computer. And they're getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And I can't tell 30 million people that buy this computer. It's it's a great computer, except it's frozen right now. So I couldn't do that. So what I did was I accidentally kicked the plug out from behind and unplugged it. And they were mad. They were saying, what are you, crazy? How could you do that? How could you make a stupid mistake like that? And I told them it was either that or tell them that the computer froze. So I took the hit, but they were so thankful after that. They were like, never mind. Thank you so much for doing that. So live TV, anything can happen. And it did last week. But this week, we're lucky enough again to have Mario Pinardo on from Achievement Dynamics. And Mario's a great guy. Great enough for me to invest my money and my time into being part of his team. And anybody who knows me knows it takes a lot to get me to invest in people when it comes to money and when it comes to time. I vet people pretty stringently. And I only had to meet Mario once in order to know that he was the right guy to be aligned with. And I think that says a lot about who he is and what he does. So with that, Mario, would you please come out and join the show?
Hey, folks. Hi, Justin. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's great to have you back. And isn't this much better than the last time?
Yeah, I can see you this time. Last time we're having a little bit of a challenge there.
Yeah, so we got things rocking and rolling this week, but I wasn't worried. What were the odds of lightning striking twice? So Mario, first of all, tell us a little bit about how you got into Achievement Dynamics, what it is, and then how you got into it.
Well, this July 1st will be 40 years since I opened up Achievement Dynamics Institute. So I opened up July 1st, 1985. And it actually started years before that. When I was a teenager, everything I wanted that cost a lot of money, my dad always thought he had the best answer. He would say, hey, if you want it that bad, buy it yourself. So at first it was a $3,000 dirt bike. And then at 14, at 15, it was a horse. At 16, I got my pilot's license. A year before I got my driver's license. So I had this goal set. I kept creating goals, and I kept creating goal setting programs. Then I started working with young people in the Big Brother program. I became a mentor there. And then I started teaching goal setting in the inner city to seniors at Camden High School which is in South Jersey. And it kept evolving. And then in 1985, I decided that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, was to teach people how to set and achieve goals, because I always felt that it was the single most valuable skill set we could have. Because with that skill set, you're the goose that lays the golden eggs. You can control the quality of your life, because you can create opportunity in your life, and you can capture opportunity. And what else can you ask for in each area of your life is to have a life where you're enjoying yourself and you're making a difference.
That's a great answer. And Mario, what in you now gives you the fire to see this come true 40 years later?
Well, when I opened up Achievement Dynamics, it was really a school for empowerment. And that was 1985. By 1986, I was doing 200 workshops, 90-minute workshops a year. And I put them in sequence. They weren't all different topics. They were, I'd say, maybe 40 different topics. Then I started to look at a system and a procedure that people could follow. It was a step-by-step. And I kept simplifying it and simplifying it. And then I realized that it was universal. It didn't matter if I was working in corporations, if I was working in school systems. People were losing weight and gaining and becoming healthier. My clients would say, how do I teach my children? So it became a family empowerment process. So the idea of this universal process is what I kept honing in on. And then the last couple of years, I started to be concerned because I wasn't on the internet. Everything was in this format. And if you didn't live 50 miles, even though I had 3,000 clients, if you didn't live 50 miles from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you never heard of me, because I just had a school that people came to, or I went to their businesses. So I started to think, I got to digitize this and put it out on the internet, because I didn't, to answer your question now, I was concerned that one day I'd go in that box and my hard drive would go in that box, and you would never see either of us ever again. And all these years of research and development and all this making a difference, I was the only one that I knew I had all the knowledge to put this up and to get this out on the internet and to empower people and teach them how to empower one another. So that's what we're doing now. Achievement Dynamics Institute is about a peer-to-peer empowerment process. So there'll be communities for people to really work with each other and not even need me, because they'll be able to empower their family, their friends, their business, whoever they want to apply it to.
So is it July 1st? What's going to happen? What's the magic that's going to happen on that date?
Well, July 1st is my target date to open up the communities. The first community that I'm working with now, there's been dozens and dozens of people who are coming on board to learn how to facilitate the workshops of the program. And all the material is within the site. Like I mentioned, I digitized everything so you can bring up PDFs, and it's called the Wheel of Empowerment. And so the idea is to first get the first level of leadership developed, so they can open up communities. So I have the women empowerment community, that would be women to women peer empowerment. I have the business to business empowerment. So it'll be business people empowering business people, or a business person empowering their own business. Family empowerment, youth empowerment, because I've been working in schools for so many years and with youth programs. So as leadership learns how to facilitate the wheel of empowerment, they can also now start opening up communities. And then when someone joins, they can get in those communities and they can learn themselves, not just empowerment, how it applies to their own life, but also how to empower the next person. So in fact, our slogan is feel the current, be a light, and pass on the power. So the idea is, how fast can we turn this over where we can get more and more people empowering themselves, their family, and their own community?
So you see it as something exponential that's going to continue to grow as pass it down a lane. So one person learns, they pass it on to 2 other people, they pass it on to 4 other people, and then it continues to grow and into a community where people are empowering each other.
Right. Yeah. And I have a little prayer book that I read, and there was a quote in there. It says, "A living vessel absorbs what flows through it." And I always would teach people how to empower one another from day one. My clients, I would show them how to work with each other. And if I was in a company, I would show the manager or the leader with the executive how to run the program. And so from day one, it's always been, now that you understand the process, to get even better at it, teach it, help other people learn it. And so that's going to be one way that we transfer empowerment, is because once you learn it, you see, understanding something and having information on something doesn't create transformation. There's information. Hey, if information is all we needed, all we'd have to do is look up, how do I get in shape? And everybody would be eating right and healthy. So there's information, there's inspiration, which is temporary. Then there's different types of motivation. Fear motivation is temporary. Instead motivation is temporary. But ultimately, if I can get to this point, intrinsic motivation. You're motivated from within, and that creates transformation. So the idea is, once we have the information of what we want, when we want it, why we want it, even how we plan to get it, now we have to become the person that can make it work. So it really is a transformational process, and it's not hard once we understand that we're always in a state of change. But what the idea is to drive the changes in our life, drive the changes within us, and not to be reactive, but to be proactive on how we change. So we change into the person that achieves our goals. Do you track me on that? So the idea that you're driving transformation, but you have a support system, because we can't do it alone. We really do need support, and that's why the communities are being built. So we have peer-to-peer support in each community.
Mario, one of the things that, and this is just probably being vulnerable, but I think I should mention it, is I've been successful in business. I have 2 businesses. I have a charity that's been successful. I've written a book. It's about to be published. I've reached my goals that I wanted to reach in the gym. All the things I ever wanted to do, I've gotten to do most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. But there have been times where I felt like, I can't do this. I can't make this. It's not going to work. And I don't even want to get out of bed. I just want to lay in bed, and I don't even want to try. I just feel like I'm wiped out. I don't have the energy to do it. I don't have the drive or desire. When you look at somebody like you, it seems like that's impossible for that to happen to Mario. That people like Mario don't get those feelings, or if they do, they just completely crush them. Is that true, or do you have moments where you feel like, oh man, this is going to be a tough day, and I just need today to get through it?
Oh, sure. There's two reasons for that. One is there's fear. That sometimes we're not sure what to do next, or if we're doing everything right, and so sometimes we just need to. That's where faith comes in, and that's where trust comes in. To be a believer, it's really believing in your own potential, and believing that you're here for a purpose, believing that there's a reason why you're being driven from within to do something. So the first thing is that we always have to go back to the source of who am I? What am I all about? Why am I doing this? And one thing I found years ago, I can remember that I was having a lot of self-doubt one day. This was maybe 30 years ago. And there was a lady that wanted to work with me. And she said, you got to convince my husband that I should work. Like, in other words, he wants to meet you and find out more about your company. So I'm like, oh, this is a bad day for me convincing anybody of anything. I'm not even sure if I'm convinced myself. And I found that the more I explained to him what I was doing, what we were doing, the results we were getting, the vision that I had for Achievement Dynamics, the more enthusiasm I felt for my life and my mission again. So that's why we need power partners, is because every time we speak and talk about our vision and our purpose, we get excited again. The word enthusiasm comes from a Greek word which means ethos, which comes from the word ethos, which means God from within. So there's a spirit within us that we have to, every once in a while, come on, wake up, you can do this. And I find that verbalizing, visualizing, sharing, collaboration, and to have power partners where we collaborate with, because we're only human. And sometimes we do hit a wall. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's fear that we start. Worry is misplaced imagination. So we could go from creating to worrying. But we're still using our imagination, but we've kind of put it in the wrong direction. And that can sometimes be a where we wake up and we feel like with deer in the headlights. So every time we share and we share our vision and talk about our goals, we ignite empowerment once again within us. And, it's a recommitment on a regular basis. One commitment doesn't make it. We have to always remember that even in exercise, how many times we have to recommit to the exercise or going to the gym or lifting the weights. So mental and emotional muscles work like physical muscles. You stretch and they don't go back to the original size. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And so we're constantly stretching ourselves.
Cool. Well, we have our first comment of the night. So let's take a look at the comment and see what it is. Jason Pinardo asks, are we related? I don't know. Are you related? Jason is a friend of mine from South Philadelphia. We worked a little bit together back in the late 2000s, 2008, 2009 area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's
now,
asking if you're related.
I can't see if now here's the thing, and that is that there people named Pinardo asked if we're related, but I have to say that back in 1914, when my grandfather stepped off the boat from Italy, his last or name in Italy is Pinardi. So the immigration office changed it to Pinardo. So unless you were Pinardi, we probably aren't related, unless my dad and is your uncle, or something like that.
Gotcha.
But, and I wish we were, Jason. I want to meet more Pinardos, so we can stay related. We can still have a good time.
Jason's a great guy. I've known Jason now probably 40 some years. We don't see each other that often. I wish we got to get together more often, but it's been about 40 some years that we've known each other. Really good guy. So it must come with the name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good.
No, go ahead. Another question. I don't want to monopolize. I'll let you kind of and by the way, if anyone wants to put in the chat any questions, I've been teaching empowerment for, like I said, 40 years professionally, and I have dozens of workshops that I've worked through and worked with and that are now on my site. So any question that you have, I can probably field the question for you and help you understand how to get, if it's a success barrier, or maybe it's a do or don't about empowerment. Because over the years, working with thousands of clients in their journey on their journey for success, I kind of got some information that I just have it extemporaneously ready to share. So any questions that you have on the chat, just feel free to put it in there. I'll be happy to do my best to answer it for you.
I think you did a big service to people, because I used to believe that you could look at somebody who looked confident and who looked like they knew what they were doing, had it all together. Maybe they were wearing a lab coat, so they're a doctor, or they had a stethoscope around their neck, or they had a microphone in front of their face. And I thought, man, they have it all together. They got everything goes right for them. I'm sure they have no self-doubt. And then internally, I would wonder why I can't get there. I would say to myself, why can't you be like that? Why can't you not have self-doubt? Why can't you feel like you're in control all the time? And it's not until people like you, who are very successful, come out and say, no, there are days that we don't get there. There are days where we're down and we don't believe at that particular moment. But that doesn't mean that it's a problem with us personally. That's a human experience that all of us have. So, I even look at my own therapist, psychologist, and I think, does he ever get depressed? He must not. He's a psychologist. But, that's faulty thinking on my part, I think. Well, everybody experiences these things.
Well, there's a few things that you can do to help overcome if you find yourself dealing with those emotions more often than you would like. Now, here's a couple ways to combat it. Number one, we need to crystallize our life. And when I say crystallize our life, we need to identify our whole self-concept. And let me explain to you. This is now digital, but over the years, I would give clients an action planner. And this action planner, it would give them 8 dividers, and they had to create an area for their life in each divider. So it could be family, it could be health, it could be career, it could be finance, it could be recreation. So we call it the wheel of life. And in each area, we need to write our story. We need to identify who we are. And in writing, because if you ask people if they have dreams, goals, values, priorities, strengths, weaknesses, they're going to say yes. If you ask them what they are, If you just said, okay, then it's June. So what are your top 5 goals for this year in their priority? What values do they reflect that motivate you to achieve these goals? What strengths do you have that if you start asking specific questions, you wouldn't get clear answers, because most of us are unconsciously unaware of our whole self-concept. So it's a very simple process to crystallize your life. You get an action planner, and we have them digital on the site. And of course, it's great when you print it out and you still have your written one. But it's in each area of our life. What are our dreams? Like, what are our wishes and wants? What could we possibly want in those areas? You want to stretch our imagination. What is our mission statement in that area? What are our values in that area? What priorities do we have? What's the most important things to us in that area of life? And the more we crystallize that, it's called cognitive structuring, as far as a psychological term for it, that we become cognitively aware of who we are, what we're about, what we want. And the more we do that, the subconscious mind starts to program it in, and our self-concept becomes larger and larger. And we become less concerned about what other people think, because we know what we think. We know who we are. And then also, it gives us a sense of mission and purpose moving forward. Another thing is, we have to track our successes. At the end of each year, in each area of your life, you should really write down, how did I succeed in this area? How did I grow? Even when you create your new action planner, write down all the successes you've had in that area of life, because a sense of success builds our self-esteem. And many of those successes, you had moments of doubt. I can look at things of some of the greatest achievements in my life where there were moments where I really thought that I was done. I really thought this was never going to happen, that I failed. And then all of a sudden, boom, a breakthrough came. And so by visualizing and by understanding in writing that it has been a journey and you have succeeded. And then every week you look for progress. So it's building a strong self-concept, understanding that you are successful already. And that you're building on top of that success. And then on a weekly basis, you always want to look at how did I succeed, or what did I learn? You never fail, because it's about progress. We live a life of progress, and it's not win-lose, it's win-win. I'm growing, I'm learning, and I'm moving forward. And that's the kind of perspective that we need to keep ourselves motivated.
I know that I have from you the personality test for myself and my kids, and I did take one earlier this year, and I am in the 4th percentile. So 96% of people are not like me. In that, they found that I am a type A personality who is driven, dot the I's, cross the T's, do everything myself, try to get it all done, but also a people pleaser. And it's extremely rare to do both. And one of the things I was taught was those are my greatest strengths, but they're also my greatest weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't succeed with that, if I don't please people, or if I don't get done what I want to get done, then I feel like a failure. And so there's a really weird thing here that goes on where your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses when you allow them to balloon out of control. And I think, would you agree with that?
Oh, that's so true. In fact, we in a disc profile, we use birds as the metaphors for the profile, whereas like the eagle, they're always in control. They like to control their environment, but sometimes that they lose focus, because in their sense of control, they lose teamwork. So again, being strong and being decisive sometimes can work against us. And I don't want to go into all of them, but that's the dominant personality. But to go back into something that you were saying, so I can share something that's more that you can that is briefer and you can apply. No matter what your personality is, no matter what style, all the personality profiles always go into 4 quadrants, and the 4 quadrants are introvert, extrovert, and then are you a direct introvert, which means are you a direct communicator or indirect communicator? So let me explain that. We have 2 extroverts. The eagle is the direct extrovert that they're going to tell you what's on their mind. They want to be in charge. And the parrot is the I. That's the indirect extrovert. They're more into relationships. And like I'm the parrot. That I like ideas. I like sharing. I like collaboration. So indirect, direct. All right. Now, introverts. You have the dove, which is in disc. It's the S. That's the sensitive, quiet, supportive introvert. I'm very empathetic. And then you have the owl, which is the calculating, cautious. You always see an owl with glasses, right? That's the information introvert. And again, my friend Marek Rosenberg developed these in bird metaphors, so it's easier to understand. All right, so him and I both got certified in DISC in 1990. So, and I've known Eric, Marek all these years. So anyway, but here's the thing. It's about flexing. It doesn't matter what your profile is. It's important to have that self-awareness. But it's also important to know that we can be any style at any time. And it's almost like a good example would be a police officer he could be a very gentle S or dove in take flight learning language. But when he puts his uniform on, he's got to be an eagle. So in response to any profile that we take, we're not stuck being that person. That's our dominant personality, but we could be anyone we want to be at any given time. And you're not being a phony. You're flexing into a different mindset so you can achieve your goals. And it may be a little draining for that. Why? Because when you're flexing, it's almost like you're using more battery power. And when you're in your mindset and when you're in your natural style, it's like you're charging, but it may be a little draining to flex, but it's no reason to feel that you're stuck behind a temperament.
That's important to remember. I hope everybody pays attention to that. And by the way, Dr. Jack was also certified. So that's pretty cool. Maybe one day all three of us do a show together, which would be pretty interesting. I can learn a lot.
Oh, she's certified with Take Learning? Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have another comment. So let's see what the other comment is that just came in. Hey, Lucille. Good to see you. So Lucille was actually in that session that we had that Saturday, if you remember.
So good to hear from Lucille. That's great. Yeah. You're following up with her. That's great.
Yeah. In fact, we were sitting next to each other. I remember that morning. It was a really cool time. That was what, 2.5 hours that went by like it was nothing.
Well, whenever people are sharing and collaborating, time does fly. Whether it's an hour workshop, 90-minute workshop, I always feel like as soon as it starts, it's over. And even what we're doing right now, I'm sure that at the end of this show, I'm going to feel like, wow, that was the quickest 40 minutes I had in a long time. It's and I can't wait to work with Lucille because it's really about people empowering one another. And like you were saying, sometimes we get the impression like people have it all together. We're all a work in progress. And there's there's always areas of our life that we want to make better. And so what's the old saying? The biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. And we're goal seekers by nature. We're happiest when we're stretching ourselves and our capacities in a meaningful series of goals that relate to who we are. And so goal setting and going after goals does awaken us. It does give us a sense of purpose and mission. And people that have a sense of purpose and mission in life are known to be happier, more self-fulfilled people, especially if your mission is to empower others and you see the difference it makes in other people's lives.
How do you figure, or how do you rationalize when people who do the wrong thing get ahead and you've done the right thing and it's taking you 40 years to do it? And for me, I'm 50 years old, so my whole adult life really has been working to try to get where I am. And then there's some people who just at the snap of a finger, everything breaks right for them immediately. How do you reconcile that? Because I know for me sometimes that gets frustrating. I think, why is it that people who don't seemingly deserve that kind of success, it just kind of falls into their lap, and then people who work like crazy don't have the same luck? How do you make peace with that?
Well, first of all, it's really not my business as far as what other people are succeeding or failing with or whatever. I wish everyone goodwill. And I can remember that there was a time when I felt I never felt envious, but I did feel like, boy, this person has it so easy that, they was a second generation owner and they were just flying through life. And then, you know what? One day they got sick and they had a battle with cancer, and it put things in perspective. And that is, hey, you know what? We're all going to have our battles. We're all going to struggle. Some of us get married and we never have a bad day. We marry, just every day we're just madly in love, and other people have to work at it to keep the love alive. So in each area of our life, there, it's some things are easier because we're really successful in one area. Doesn't mean that we're not struggling in another. And so I never, that this was 45 years ago, that when that little tinge of jealousy because their life was so perfect, when that person got cancer, I said, you know what? I'm never going to be jealous of anyone again. I'm never going to envy anyone else's success because, no matter how first of all, if we gain our success by hurting other people, are we really happy? And so there's that value system, of self-fulfillment. And, at the end of the day, I have to be concerned about how I empower myself and how I empower others, and to keep ourselves, that's why you want to identify in your self-concept your priorities and your values. Because years ago I had a boat, and when you went out to sea through the river, there was a green and there was a red buoy, and the green and red buoy, you stayed in between them because you go beyond those and it's danger. In fact, one time the buoy wasn't there, ended up putting a board through my boat because I was up on plane and it hit a piling and it hit my boat, and because the buoy wasn't there. Well, that's what happens in life, is that when we crystallize our values and our priorities, we have to stay in between that and decisions and in our vision. Is what I'm doing, is what I'm saying, is how I'm acting. Does that complement? Am I staying on track between my values and my priorities? Because having those crystal clear and having those in my so consciously aware of who I am, it's easier to make decisions because right away if you're stepping out of your lane and that could cause trouble. That could be a piling in your life. And so whatever people's values and priorities are, it's about self-fulfillment. At the end of the day, I have to answer for my own life. And so I have to say that I get upset when people mistreat other people. I have to admit that when people lack empathy and they mistreat people, that especially people that are needy, I have to admit that does bother me, but at the same time, I have to also understand that, that if I can help, in fact, Achievement Dynamics, well, I'm hoping that to be able to create a foundation so we can put the money into empowering inner city youth and their goals, because it takes money to achieve goals. And a lot of times youth that come from poorer neighborhoods, they can't pursue their goals. So that's one of my life missions, is to be able to support young people in the pursuit of their goals in their life.
And to clarify what I meant by being disillusioned is when people are successful, like a drug dealer or somebody who's doing things that are destructive in life, and they're driving around in a $200,000 car, or somebody who is skimming. I run a charity. I don't take a salary. I don't take a cent from it, and I do more work on that probably than I do on my actual business. And then you see people who are unscrupulous, and they skim from their charity and they make money off of it and things like that. So I really struggle with, it's not so much a jealousy, but an anger that how dare they, I'm trying to play the straight and narrow, and I'm still working like crazy and sometimes feel like a hamster on a wheel. And these people are able to take shortcuts. It's almost like the gym. When I go into the gym, I work out really hard and try to grow as much as I can and be as muscular as possible. And then the guy next to me is doing steroids like crazy, and he's 3 times my size, and he's bench pressing, 150 pounds more than I am. And I think, it just doesn't seem, I'm doing the same amount of work, but he's getting much more of the benefit. And I think that's what frustrates me. So when you see that, how do you let that go? How do you find a way to say, all right, well, if that's just the way it is, and I just have the answer for myself.
Hey, and like I said, I just compete against myself. Am I a better person this week? When I say a better person, am I a healthier, more effective? Am I any smarter this week because of what I learned last week? And you keep building on those successes. And even biblically, it says that we all have to be just responsible for ourselves and what we're doing. And again, when we can help and empower other people, the word encourage means you can give other people courage. And so we do have the ability to make an impact in other people's lives. And perspective, psychologists have an equation. It's any event in our life plus our perspective equals our reality. And when you can change someone's perspective about the depth of their potential, about their ability to succeed and create hope in their life, when you've changed that perspective, you've changed their life. You've changed their world. And so the question is, can we change the world? Yeah, we can change the world just by helping a person understand the truth about themselves and who they are and what they're capable of, and then build on little successes along the way, because success is our mental and emotional muscles build like physical muscles. You stretch, you move out of your comfort zone, you stretch, and then it heals, and you go back again, and you keep moving it, and you keep moving it, and we become stronger from the inside out. And that's what empowerment's all about, is transforming ourselves into the person that we're being called to be. And we need help with that. None of us are supermen or superwomen that, I've been fortunate because I've surrounded myself with clients who are positive, open to new ideas, looking to improve. Clients I'm working with each other. There's people that I lean on when I want to share and talk, and generate ideas. So we need each other. We are meant to be, we're independent, but we're meant to be interconnected. And especially when you can do a peer-to-peer, and a peer may be somebody in your business, family empowerment. That's a peer group. So there's, to have other people in our lives that are tracking with us and are there to say, well, take a breath, step back, evaluate, recommit. And every time you recommit, you get another breath of fresh air. You get another. It's a renewing the mind. Is what we need to do on an ongoing basis.
And as you were saying that, one of my favorite movies and one of my family's favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life. And I remember the scene that you just reminded me of was George is rubbing his head trying to figure out how are we going to stay in business, how, they're down to their last dollar. And he looked up at a picture that his dad had in the office because his dad had passed away. And the picture said, all that we could take with us is that which we left behind. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really true. Mm-hmm. Because obviously, I don't care how big your bank account is. Once you're gone, you're gone. Yeah. But what you left behind is what lasts forever.
Yeah. And it doesn't really take a lot to have an impact in someone's life. I'd like to just share one story, if I could, and that is, I'm going back to the early 90s, and I did a lot of workshops with the adult education in high schools where they run classes. It could be anything from needlepoint to how to fix a carburetor, but there's like these classes that happen at night. They're called adult education. So back in the 90s, most of the high schools here, I would take turns one night a week. I would be at a different high school, and I had a course called Attitudes for Success and Assertiveness Living. And it was like $45 for the 6 workshops. And I had all the, the key workshops there. So anyway, here's what happened. The first night, everyone's late because nobody can find the room and everybody. So as people were arriving, I said, while we're waiting for the other participants, everyone take out a piece of paper and create a wish and want list. Create a dream list. Don't worry about if you can afford it or if you think you could ever do it. Just anything you'd ever want to see, do, where you want to go, become. And so everyone starts writing their list. Then we get everyone there and we went around the room. And as an icebreaker, I said, if you would stand up, introduce yourself. And what's one of your wildest dreams on your wish and want list? So a lady in the back of the room says, my name's Michelle. And I developed photographs in a photo lab, and my wildest dream is to travel around the world. Good. That's a great wild dream, right? Big dream. So a few people actually added that to their list. So at the end of the first session, she came up to me and she said, I think I'm in the wrong class because I thought this was assertiveness training, because it said assertiveness living, and you never said the word assertive once. I think I might have misunderstood what we're learning here. And I said, Michelle, have you ever taken assertiveness training before? And she says, oh yeah, several times. And I said, were you ever really more assertive? She says, no, not really. I says, if you take the class, if you come to every session, if you're not satisfied, I'll give you your money back, right? Whatever you paid the school. Okay, deal. She comes to the next 6 sessions, right? This is in February, March. Sometime in May, I called everyone in the class to see how they were doing, and I called Michelle. And now this is a crazy story. Sorry if I'll be another minute by the time I finish this. So now I says, Michelle, how you doing? And she says, I can't believe that you called me today. Remember I said I want to travel around the world? Well, I'm going to Australia for the whole month of July. I said, that's great. How'd you swing that? And she said, I bought travel magazines because I would tell people to create a visualization book. This was years before Oprah had her vision board, and put pictures of things that you want in your visualization book. So she says, I was cutting out magazine articles about places in the world, and I saw a little ad, and it said, wanted tour guides for Australia. So I put my resume in, and they hired me, and I'm going to be doing a 30-day bus tour, guiding one around Australia in July. And I said, Michelle, I didn't know you knew about Australia. And she says, I don't know anything about Australia, but they hired me anyway, so I'm going to the library. I'm going to learn, right? So anyway, well, good luck. 4 years later, I run into her. I'm at a speaking engagement in town, and someone taps me on the shoulder, and she says, remember me? And I said, certainly, Michelle. Last time I spoke to you, you were heading to Australia for a month. How'd you make out? And here's what she said. I did such a good job. I had such a great time. I became a professional tour guide, and since then, I've been to 42 different countries. So there's a lady that had the wildest dream. Her wildest dream was to travel around the world, and in 5 years, she traveled around the world because she opened her mind to the possibilities. It wasn't part of the plan, but it was what she attracted into her life. So I always say, big doors swing on small hinges. Dare to dream. It takes courage to be a dreamer. Put down everything that you would ever want to see happen in your life, because you never know. Because of that awareness, that creates a perceptual set in her life, and we start attracting opportunities. That little tiny ad in that magazine was all she needed to catch her attention, and then the door opened for herself. So I want everyone to know that it doesn't take a lot to be very successful.
That's extremely powerful. That's really cool. As we're ending the show, we have 3 comments, so we'll take those 3 comments and then we'll wrap things up because we're going a little over here.
Okay.
So Lucille, looking forward to it. Seeing the light. Yes, Lucille, we will. We will. Hey, Claire, how are you? Claire's there. And Rachel is there every week, so I thank her for that. Agree with Mario. My work ethic is focused on how I can be better, not compare myself to others. And people remember how you treat them more than what you say. Love this conversation. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Antoinette, who is Rachel's daughter, who watches along with us.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, if anyone wants to follow up with me, I put my email on the chat. And if you want to learn more about Achievement Dynamics, it's achievementdynamics.com. And right now I'm bringing on people who want to be facilitators and leaders in communities. And so I'm teaching the first level of folks. And so, I'm just looking to build. Oh, good. You got the website up. That's great. And so whether it's personal empowerment for yourself, or you want to learn it to apply it and help other people become more empowered, our slogan at Achievement Dynamics is feel the current, be a light, and pass on the power. And I want to create it's kind of like a chamber of commerce of achievers and believers, where everyone's sharing with each other and empowering each other in all the areas of our life.
That's great, Mario. Thank you so much. We do so many more hours together, but I'm sure we'll do it again sometime. Mm-hmm. But thank you so much for joining us again this week, and no technical problems. So that was good.
Right. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Working with you. And Lucille, I'm looking forward to working with you too. Thanks for your comment on the show. I appreciate it.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to wrap up the show like we normally do. I want to thank Mario Pinardo, Achievement Dynamics. Definitely look him up. I'm a part of the team, and I wouldn't be if I didn't believe in it. So yeah, I hope that lets you know what I think of it. So we're going to wrap up the show with 2 things. One, in 2 weeks, January 21st, we're having a signing, an autograph signing with Brian Propp and Mark Howe, two former Flyer legends, both Flyer Hall of Famers. It's going to be at Chickies and Pete's in Marlton. So come out to that. The price of admission is a $70 ticket to our event on August 23rd, which is the NHL Celebrity Hockey Games to support people with inflammatory bowel disease and ostomy. We have Mark Recchi coming. We have Brian Propp coming, Chris Terrian, Todd Fedoruk. We're gonna have to replace a couple of players that changed. But here's the one that's coming up, the most recent, coming up June 21st at Chickies and Pete's in Marlton, 2 to 5 p.m. Come, all you got to do is buy one ticket to the game. You can buy more, that'd be great, but buy one ticket to the game and the dinner, $70, and you get whatever you want signed. Take as many pictures as you want, and then you will have a ticket for the game in September 23rd of this year. And that's the one where we're going to have Mark Recchi come down and have Lauren Hart there and all kinds of people, celebrities out at the event. So make sure you come to that. So what does that event look like? Well, we're going to give you a little taste of it with this little video, and then we'll wrap everything up.
I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you came out tonight and helped us out on a very special evening. Crohn's and colitis are terrible diseases, and they affect a lot of people, not only in the Delaware Valley, but all over the world. And hopefully we can find a cure someday.
Nolan here with you at the Checkmates versus the Flyers alumni. We had a great time this afternoon. Game was close, and we're all here for Checkmates Charities, which is the real reason that everybody's here, not only the players, but all the fans that were here. It was a great day, and we're really happy to be here.
It was fun to be out here at Northeast Skate Zone because the Checos were a pretty good team, and so we had a lot of fun with the charity.
And it was good because they took it easy on us old guys. So we had a good time. So anytime you can do something for charity, and I know a couple guys on the other team, and just to be on the rink, we all go have fun.
Good times go. I'm either gone in an instant or here to the bitter end. I never know what I got.
I want to thank my family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Common Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Prieto for saving my life, and finding the disease and treating me for so long. And the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
So, baby, be ready to go August 23rd. If you can't come June 21st, that'd be great. But August 23rd is the big night where we have the game. A lot of celebrities are going to be there. You'll see there's the website there, www.checkmatescharity.com. And we have all kinds of auction items that will be there, sports memorabilia. You'll be able to talk to the players. 2-hour open bar. How about that? All for $70. That includes what's coming up on the 21st. So from June 21st and this event, it's still $70. That's it. 2-hour open bar. You'll see some names missing. We did lose a couple of players, but we'll replace them. We'll put them in. But right now, the headliners, Mark Recchi, Brian Pratt, Chris Terrian, Doug Crossman, Todd Fedoric, and Riley Cote. Bernie Perrot's going to show up and visit with us. Lauren Hart's going to come and sing. The only fly in that ointment is she does have a child that's going to college. So as long as she's not moving the child into college, then she'll be there. So that's the only way she wouldn't make it, is if she can't. And Dr. Jacqueline bought a ticket already, so I really appreciate that. Rolf Benershka, we're supporting his charity as well. So the charity supports CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, their GI department. And it also will service or help support Rolf Benershka. He's the NFL Man of the Year in 1983, kicked with an ostomy for 7 years, and runs a group called Embracing Ostomy Life. So $70, come on, 2-hour open bar, full buffet. You get to hang out with celebrities. Ed Bernstein will be there. Longest talk show in Nevada history. What else can I give you? Right? So this is it. This is it. So please join us. If you want to contact us, www.checkmatescharity.com or Justin@checkmatescharity, all one word.com. And we're ready to go. And this is my actual business where I feed myself and my family. This is the computer training company that I run. I also do soft skills training, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, Visio, Project, time management, receiving and giving positive and constructive feedback. Tons of courses that I teach. And I come out to companies and train. I also train people one-on-one. So please give me a call, 610-324-5545 for that, or go to www.justforutc.com or justin@justforutc.com, all spelled out. All right, everybody, we're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for joining myself and Mario, and I want to thank Dr. Jacqueline for her work that she does on this network, which is incredible. And keep watching USA Global TV. So until next week, we'll say goodbye. This is You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul with Justin MIRIGLIANI. See you next Monday.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert Carrie Sykes, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Lady Ella flies up high, spreading kindness through the sky. With Lord Jack right by her side, through the world they glide. They listen close, they understand, helping creatures in the land. With open hearts, they lend a hand. Come along, come and see. Kindness starts with you and me. Listen close, hear the sound. Kindness makes the world go round. Goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga. So spread your wings and soar so high, like Lady Ella in the sky. With Lord Jack we'll always say, listening and kindness light the way.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.